When you think about Pokemon, you probably get a nostalgic feeling, like that first time you open up a booster pack, when you saw your first holographic card, or just when you saw your favorite Pokemon come to life in these awesome works of art. But sometimes there were some cards that you looked at and you said, that looks kind of cheap. How did that ever get through their printing process? And yes, there were some sets that were just kind of bad. And that's what we're going to take a look at today. There have been a few sets in the history of the Pokemon TCG where the cards were a little below standards. So what we're going to do in this video is take a look through some examples from this stack of cards. As you can see, it's kind of, one looks like it's almost levitating. And we'll see how bad Pokemon cards have gotten throughout the years. Now, for the most part, Pokemon cards have been pretty awesome. But we're going to take a look at some things where they went wrong. When Pokemon cards first came out, they looked pretty awesome. I mean, for example, let's just take a look at everyone's favorite base set Charizard. Who didn't want one of these, alright? This is one of the most exciting moments in your life if you pulled one of these out of a pack. You were the coolest kid in school if you got one of these. And overall, the card quality was pretty nice. There were no, noticeable flaws. You know, it's a flat card, even though it's a holographic. Everything is great. And you know, that holds true even to today. Look at this Cobalion EX from the Plasma Storm set. Pretty awesome. Looks pretty cool, I gotta say. And again, you know, they're flat. They're great. I mean, the quality is tremendous. The artwork is incredible. But, you know, there were some sets where that just wasn't the case. I think the biggest example of this had to be the EX Deoxys set. Now, this set is notorious for the worst reverse holographic cards in the history of Pokemon. The holo cards weren't that bad. I mean, here we have this Metagross. You can look at it. It's a little curvy, you can see. It kind of bends this way. Kind of like a crescent moon a little bit. You know, not perfect, but it's passable, okay? It's not too noticeable if you're going to play a game with it. But then we have the reverse holo Metagross. Now, you can see it's reverse. It's got the shiny gold print. Now, it might not look that bad from this view, but then we'll turn it a little bit and whoop! What? It just kind of goes, woo, okay. So when you were playing with these cards, they were highly noticeable how much they bent. And this is not just this card being, you know, an anomaly, being a card that's just a bad one of the batch. Pretty much all of the reverse foils from Deoxys were like this. Way too curved, extremely low quality, they scratched very easily. They were kind of junky cards. And the problem was when you would play with them, I mean, just take a look at this. I'm stacking one on top of the other. Say you're going to play a game and you're going to draw a card for your turn. I wonder what my next card is. It's so curved that it actually gave you information that you're not supposed to have. You know, especially imagine if this card's just sitting out in your prizes. Oh, look. I'm just going to take the extremely curved card, and I know exactly what it is. So, this print run for EX Deoxys was actually very bad, and it actually caused some problems in competitive play when it came to noticing cards like this that were just bent too much. There was actually a player in a big tournament that was disqualified for purposely running these kinds of cards, reverse holo. It was seen as a way of kind of cheating, stacking your deck to see what was coming next. So, Deoxys had, hands down, the worst cards in the history of the game in terms of quality. Thankfully, we will never see anything this badly again, and I'm not sure what caused it, but man, I mean, just look at this stuff. Hey, you can't make this up, man. It's just completely noticeable how much this one curves more than this one, and it's a little ridiculous. So, that'll be our first example. Thankfully, none of them are as bad as this, but this always makes me laugh. Now, even though the Deoxys reverse holos were horrible, and I said nothing like that would ever happen again, well, something like it kind of happened, just not as bad. In the Heart Gold Soul Silver set, we had Prime Pokemon, like this Donphan and this Typhlosion Prime. You know, they were a new kind of thing. Ironically, they do share the gold text, I don't know if you can see that, on the the names. That's a characteristic that they share with the Deoxys reverse hollows, and also the fact that they bend a lot. Now, this poses the same problem in competitive play, where you can see just how much this card curves if it's on top of your deck. For example, we'll just take a stack of these cards here, and you can see, again, where that card is. Alright? Now, this could pose a problem in competitive play, where, for example, when I would play test against our very own Michael Pramelot, a lot of times I would be using decks with this Donphan Prime. This one, in fact. And he would look through my deck and see, where's the card that just kind of curves and shows itself in the deck and just bends way too much. And what he would do is find it, and then he would say, oh, I know you don't want this card right now, and he would cut it right on top of my deck. So this poses some problems. Again, the bending is really bad. You would want cards to be flat, so you don't tell what's what. And, yeah, these were notoriously bad, the primes from Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Thankfully, they did get better by the time Triumphant came out. For example, this Mew Prime. You can see it's not nearly as bad. It's pretty flat if we compare it to another Prime. I'm not sure how much we can actually convey it here in this video, but you can see one is definitely more curved than the other, which would be good old Donphan here. So, Primes from Heart Gold, Soul Silver definitely were another notoriously bad print run in terms of the Pokemon TCG. Unfortunately, they would not be the last. You would think with how long Pokemon's been out that they would have this down by now. But even some of the more recent sets, we have some bad examples, and Prime cards are one of them. After the fiasco with the Primes, that whole bending card issue again, you would think that they would be over this problem by now. But it reared its ugly head once again with the black and white set. For example, with this Zoroark card here. It looks okay on the surface. If you're just kind of looking at it like this, sure, it looks fine. It's a cool looking card, I'll give it that. But you can actually feel these cards are thicker than normal cards. And what happens in that case is they start to curve towards the middle. Now, with the Metagross, let's see if I can find it real quick. So the Metagross from Deoxys, kind of the same thing, is just more, defined in this thing, where it just goes right towards the middle. But when you look at it from the top, it would actually curve towards the top, almost like a tent on the top. And this is actually the opposite. Kind of a strange thing, look. You can see this one curves towards the top. This one curves towards the middle. And it's just kind of an interesting thing to see. I'm not quite sure how this happened. Again, the cards do feel very thick. So kind of a strange problem here. Again, you can notice clearly when the cards are like on top of your deck. You can see that this is not a flat card. So you can see exactly what it is. If you play Zoroark and this is the only card like this, then hey, the top card of my deck is Zoroark, and hey, there it is. Again, with the prize issue as well, if it's sitting in your prizes, you can see exactly what it is. Now, the strange part about black and white is, yes, we had this problem, and then you got to the full art cards like Reshiram, and it had it had a problem as well, but it was actually not the same one. It curved the other way. So the Zoroark we saw curves towards the middle. This is more like that Metagross where it curves like a tent and goes towards the top. I'm not sure how this happened with two separate cards. Two separate errors on different types of cards. Maybe because it's full art, the full foil effect of it made it curve the other way. I'm not really sure how it works. But either way, we have another situation where you can kind of notice what your next card is, just based on how much your card curves. We're looking for uniform cards, of course, in competitive play, so I can't see what I'm drawing next, because that's unfair information. And again, in a set as recent as black and white, we have these problems once again. So hopefully they get it together soon. For the most part, there have not been many problems, but again, this is one of those, whoa, what happened with this print run? It's kind of strange to see. And to my knowledge, they did do a second print run of black and white where the cards were not distorted like this. But, these cards exist. They're legal for competitive play, and they're a problem. So, once again, a blunder by the card printer. Not sure what happened there. But, hey, another part of Pokemon's history. Now, the last example I have of poor quality cards comes in a set as recent as Boundaries Crossed, which was actually not that long ago. Now, what was wrong with this set, you might ask? Well, kind of the Zoroark syndrome again, with the A-Spec cards like Computer Search here. So it looks cool, looks fine on the front, but then you flip it over and you look, and once again, it might not be as defined as the Zoroark was, but you can see it curves towards the middle. And again, it just feels kind of thicker than the other cards. You know, you can definitely see it when you're playing, maybe not as obviously as the other ones I showed. Nothing's as obvious as that Metagross, obviously, but you can definitely feel the Computer Search. You can see where it's different in the deck, and it's not as big of a problem as the other ones have been, but it certainly is there. Now, it's not just limited to Computer Search. Of course, we had Gold Potion as an A-Spec as well, and Crystal Edge, Crystal Wall, but it's the same thing. You can see, maybe even a little more clearly on this one, that it curves towards the middle, and it's just another situation where the card is not flat like the other ones should be. Boundaries Crossed was the last example of this stuff. You can see, even in the year 2012, 2013, we can see these problems occurring. It did not actually happen too often in the early days, and it didn't start happening really until that Deoxys set. But it has been a constant problem since. Hopefully they get rid of that once and for all. Now, fortunately, in the latest set, it does seem like they have corrected these wrongs, and the cards seem better than ever. Of course, the cards look awesome. For example, take a look at Victini EX here. Sorry, the glare kind of gets him, but it's a full art Victini EX, looks pretty cool. And we see it does not really bend very much. I probably don't illustrate this very well, but it does not curve at all. You can just see it is exactly like a normal card. We'll take another example out of the pile here. Sorry, let's take a second. So, I have this Darkrai EX. Looks pretty cool. And, you know, you put it on top, you can't really see which one is which. It doesn't curve, it doesn't bend. You know, I'll take my favorite example. Again, we'll pull him back out. Where are you, Metagross? He's hiding from me. You know, this isn't even the bad Metagross. But even the foil one from Deoxys, you can see what's on top. And then the big bad one, you can see exactly what's on top. So, if I shuffled these two cards around, you know, the Darkrai and the Victini, you can't tell, okay? This is a good thing. You know, you want to be able to say, alright, foil cards are no different than the regular cards, and we can see exactly that. I can't really tell what's what. Now, the A-Spec was a problem in Boundaries Crossed. Not anymore. This Dowsing Machine, for example, doesn't really bend very much. So, definitely, there's definitely some improvements in the quality of cards. And, you know, those kind of bad print runs were just, I don't know, they were just out of the ordinary. It's not a standard for Pokemon. For the most part, Pokemon cards are very good, high-quality cards. But there were some duds here and there that just made us scratch our heads. I'm going to keep pointing out that Metagross until the end of time, probably, because I used to play that card, and it came up in my games quite frequently. You know, it was the only version of the card I had, the reverse hollow one, and, you know, everyone could see when I was going to draw it, and that's not fair. So, there we go. Cards are looking good nowadays, and that's a good thing. Well, that's going to wrap up this video on the worst quality cards of all time in the Pokemon TCG. Hope you guys were at least a little entertained and enjoyed this video. If I missed any cards, or if you have any stories about some terrible cards you've seen in your line of work, then post it down in the comments. I'm very interested to hear. I'm sure I missed some along the way, and I'm interested to know about them. As always, leave some feedback if you have it for me, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, that kind of stuff. And, you know, if you really liked it, maybe subscribe, maybe not, up to you. So, thanks for watching, guys. I am Pooka here from the Top Cut. We'll have some more videos for you soon, and I'll see you next time.